Well, Raymond, it's been great fun having you here coming to visit us at the nursery.
Well, David, I've enjoyed it immensely, and I think it is a matter of letting the consumer, the homeowner, know that clematis are not that difficult after all. There's a mystique about them, and they're not that difficult.
Absolutely.
And I think with our new varieties, they're certainly far more rewarding than some of the older ones. So if people have been put off growing clematis, I would recommend them to have some of the newer varieties.
And I suspect you know a thing or two about clematis. You've been growing them for a fair few years?
Well, it's a long time now, David. Yeah, really a long time. Well, I started, I guess, when I was 15, and when I was 16, I went to my first Chelsea Flower Show.
Wow!
So, you know, that's 54 years ago, so a really long time. But, you know, I think with plants and gardening, as you know, David, you know, you've never learned it all. There's always something to learn, and there's always more success somehow to have. You know, sometimes a plant hasn't grown particularly well, and you move it to a different location, and then you're successful. So, well, I think gardening and working with plants, breeding and selecting plants is so rewarding, David. And I think for me, one of the most rewarding things is to see cultivars that we bred and developed growing in gardens around the world, and giving people a lot of satisfaction for growing the plants successfully. So that's a great reward in its own right.
And of course, you've bred and selected like 70 different varieties.
Yes, we have, from the current breeding program, the Evison Paulson breeding program. Yeah, I think we've protected some 75 different cultivars, and but I myself started introducing clematis. I think the first hybrid that I created, I was only 18 at the time, and we named it Edith after my mother. And so, yeah, I've introduced well over 100 different species.
And some of them come from other breeders too. Take, for instance, this one, Crystal Fountain.
Oh, David, yes, of course. And when I was in Japan in 1994, I think it was, I went to the very small nursery of Mr. Hayakawa, and what I found there, he'd already obviously seen it, was this clematis, which we eventually named Crystal Fountain. This plant was growing in his nursery, and I believe, and I think he believes too, that it was a sport from Clematis H.F. Young. So Crystal Fountain has this rather exotic sort of fun type center, a plant that will grow up 4, maybe 6 feet or so in height, ideal for growing in a pot or a container. It can grow through other wall train shrubs, and that, David, is how I really prefer to grow some of these doubles. Certainly they will grow very happily indeed in a pot or a container, but if you have a wall train shrub and can grow them up through that, they would do tremendously well. And I prefer perhaps not to grow them on a trellis or a fence where there can be a lot of wind blowing through, because the flowers are quite large. When this is a medium-sized flowered one, but they can get to perhaps 5 or 6 inches or so in diameter, so they can get damaged by lots of wind and lots of heavy rain. So ideal for growing in a pot or a container or through a wall train shrub where they won't get so much damage, and of course they can be really fun. Flowering from the Crystal Fountain will flower from end of May right through onto the heat of the summer. It'll rest a little bit in the heat of the summer, then it'll put on new growth, and you'll have a crop of flowers as well coming through in the fall.
Now, what about pruning it?
Well, with the doubles and the semi-doubles, a little bit different to our single ones. So the doubles and the semi-doubles, like Crystal Fountain, Josephine, Arctic Queen or Empress, those ones that we've created, really quite simply, David, at the end of winter, what you do is reduce their top growth by 1/3, just by 1/3 only, tidying the plant up, retain some of the old growth, and then that will create some of the early flowers. Once those flowers have gone over, then you'll have more flowers. So great value for money, Crystal Fountain.